Welcome back. You may remember our Selling Girls series last year. We put a light on the dark world of sex trafficking that's happening actually even right here in Western Washington.
And today we have an update. It's a new way that prosecutors hope to build trust with sex workers. Sex workers experience high rates of physical and sexual abuse, but they rarely get justice. And that's because so many of them are afraid to get help because they're worried about facing their own legal consequences. Well, the King County Prosecutor's Office has developed a new policy to empower victims, and Senior Deputy Prosecutor Val Richey is here to tell us more about it. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Amanda.
Tell us more a bit about this internal policy and how does it work for prostitutes?
Well, what we wanted to do was try to address the long history of violence against people in prostitution. And when we talked with advocates who worked with those survivors, what we learned is that there was a concern about coming forward to report the violence. They thought we were going to prosecute them for prostitution. Now, we wouldn't, but what mattered was that they felt like they would. And so we adopted a policy that's assured them that if they come forward to report that they're the victim of a crime, we won't prosecute them for prostitution.
I'm guessing a few people at home, and I've been involved in this topic for a while now, and once I got educated on the topic, it's pretty clear that everyone who works in prostitution is a victim. Let's just say that out loud right now. To that person who's kind of skeptical, thinking, no, we should throw them in jail, what do you say to that person?
Well, in our experience, the people that we've come across in prostitution typically got involved as children. Typically, they had a bad history of trauma. They've experienced a lot of violence. They often, even if they don't have a trafficker, they've been put in through poverty. And so there's so many things that have contributed to give them no chance. And so they're in a position of real vulnerability. And when we see people in that position, we want to try to give them a help, not put them through the criminal justice system, not put them into jail, and instead give them an opportunity.
Before this change, your office already wasn't really arresting prostitutes anyways. Why make this formal and why create this formal policy and do it in such a public way?
Well, actually, not too long ago in our county, there was a lot of people being prosecuted for prostitution. Back in 2010, there was over 450 prosecutions for prostitution.
Wow.
Last year, there was 37. So we cut it dramatically. What we really want to do, though, is send a message to people in positions of vulnerability that they can come forward and they can feel comfortable and assured. I can go around and tell them that, but it's something a little bit different if we have it in writing so they actually can rely on it.
Right. Some people, Val, might not realize the huge underground network of sex trafficking in Western Washington. Tech is a big part of it, isn't it? Back in the old days, sex workers would stand on a street corner. Now, they just use their cell phones and all kinds of illicit websites. How do you guys stay a step ahead in this environment?
Well, it's true. Technology is being exploited in all sorts of negative ways. But what we've found is that technology can also be used in really positive ways to address this problem. And so we've had some volunteers who've helped us build tools to actually do victim outreach online to connect with victims and to build tools to go after perpetrators. So we're kind of flipping the script on that. Instead of technology hurting us, we're using it to go after the bad guys.
Wow. Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
It's making a difference, Val. Thank you.
Yeah, Val Richey, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much.
So we asked former prostitutes who've been victims of physical and sexual abuse on the job. And you can find out what they had to say and read more about it in Taylor Mirfendereski's in-depth story on king5.com. I think you'll have a new appreciation for the women involved in the sex trade once you get to know them.